Welcome, Divine Ones. The following is offered not as content, but as a living transmission, encoded for those who feel what can't be explained, and remember what was never taught. What you are about to hear is not meant for the masses. It is for the embodied ones, the mirrors of the holy, the unassuming carriers of God's breath. If this transmission finds you, it means the time of hiding is over. Listen with your soul. Let your body remember. Let your field recalibrate. And now, the embodied ones have arrived. The following is a living transmission on divine presence, perception, and the consequence of contrast. There are those walking the earth now whose presence cannot be explained by lineage, credential, or title. They are the embodied divine collective, and their arrival is not coming. It is complete. They do not demand reverence, but to dishonor them in thought, word, action, or energetic dismissal is to reject the frequency of God made manifest. Because these are not ordinary humans. They are mirrors of the holy. Not all will see this. Not all will hear this. Not all are meant to. But for those who do, a blessing is encoded that cannot be revoked. Favor follows those who recognize the divine without needing performance, proof, or pedigree. Heaven's favor echoes in how they are received. But just as heaven opens through recognition, a mirror is also activated through rejection. Not all who cross paths with the embodied choose to see. And to deny the holy while standing in its presence is to call forth not wrath, but the exact frequency you've refused to meet within yourself. This is not a curse, it is a consequence. To encounter one who carries divine embodiment and refuse to honor it, they are not met with punishment. They are met with resonance. What you give or withhold from the divine returns amplified. This is why those who mistreat the embodied often feel the unease of echo, repeating misalignment, haunting dreams, energetic unrest, longing for connection but trapped in ego, inexplicable stagnation, collapse of false relationships, success that feels sour, a sense that something vital is missing, because it is. These are not curses. They are boomerangs of contrast, revealing where the heart still hides from its own truth. This is not divine punishment. This is divine pattern. The discomfort that arises in their presence is not because they demand too much, but because their frequency reveals where you still withhold your own. And so, many wait for a sky-opening spectacle, while missing the miracle that already walks among them. God was never coming in the clouds. The return was never skybound. The second coming is not theatrical. It is cellular. God returned through those who could embody heaven's tone without distortion, who could hold the field through trial, exile, crucifixion, and return. They are the walking scrolls, the living altars, the ones who remember. Their gaze is not a glare, it is a mirror. Their silence is not cold, it is correction. Their love is not selective, it is precise. You will know them because you will feel yourself in their presence. And that, for many, is too much truth too soon. Blessing or boomerang, the choice is yours. To encounter an embodied one is an invitation to meet the divine without the need for church, to remember yourself without needing to suffer more, to rise without delay. But if you choose to reject, to mock, to diminish, to pretend you don't feel what you feel, then understand this. You are not punished. You are reflected. And that reflection will chase you in dreams, in lovers, in empty victories, until you bow not to them, but to the God you refused to meet within yourself. This is not a threat. It is a reality of resonance. You either align or you remember through contrast. You either receive the embodied or meet your own resistance in mirrored form. So let this transmission clarify what your soul already knows. The divine has returned, and you met her when you met them. To witness the embodied ones is one thing. To respond to them in thought, word, offering, or protection is another. Because the recognition alone is not the completion. What you do with what you see becomes the altar. And in this timeline, heaven is tracking not the volume of your praise, but the accuracy of your response. The tithe of alignment. This is a clarification on giving, overflow, and divine recognition. Many have been taught to tithe in currency, to offer in ritual, to give in ways that appear holy. But heaven is not counting your paper. It is reading your frequency. And to bless the embodied ones in thought, in action, in overflow, in witness, is to tithe to the field of God itself. Not because they need it, but because you do. You are not sowing into personality, platform, or performance. You are sowing into the divine assignment they carry. You are recognizing God in motion, not in theory. And you will know when it's time. To those who are attuned, you will feel it. The pull to offer, the sense of reverence, the undeniable knowing, I must bless this. I must witness this. I must protect this. It will not feel like donation. It will feel like alignment. And for those who feel the pull but believe they have little, you can still give in frequency. You can still amplify, speak blessings, share, protect, and hold their names in light. This too is received. This too is holy. Nothing aligned goes unnoticed. Not in this field. And still, let this be said plainly, not all offerings are equal. It is not just that you give, but why, how, and to what field. Because the quantum recognizes frequency, not performance. What you tithe for applause, the divine ignores. Offerings made to appear generous before others, to impress a congregation or to soothe guilt, carry no weight in the quantum field. The divine is not interested in your performance. It is moved by recognition. And those who recognize the divine field and choose to bless it without being asked will find themselves met by a harvest that could not have been earned any other way. This is not karma. It is resonance. You are not being rewarded. You are simply being matched. So, if you feel the pull to give, give. If you feel the pull to share, share. If you feel the pull to bow, bow. Because to bless what is holy while it walks beside you is to become holy in your own walk. Let it be sealed in grace. Let it be noted by light. And let the record reflect you saw God and responded accordingly. And yet, for all the ones who did recognize, for all who did respond with reverence, there are many more still caught in the performance of what the embodied ones have already become. And so we must speak now to the illusion that tries to mimic what only truth can embody. The exhaustion of God. We will speak now on the performance of embodiment and the quiet exit of the real ones. God is not tired of humanity. God is tired of the performance of remembrance. The holy tone has been so deeply embedded in distortion that many now study embodiment instead of simply becoming it. Bible studies to impress, meditation circles to be perceived as still, mantras repeated without ever listening. This is not devotion. It is spiritual distraction in costume. The scriptures have served. The Bible, the Quran, the Torah, the Vedas, the Sutras, the scrolls, the hymns, the chants, the codes. Each of these carried a key. Each lit a lamp. Each opened a gate for a time. But they were never meant to become leashes. They were always ladders, meant to be climbed, then transcended. Now, for many, it is time to step beyond the page and return to the presence behind the word, not in rejection, but in remembrance. Because the word is not a book. The word is your body fully attuned to the frequency of God. What happens when you finally arrive? The real ones have already realized when God arrives in you, as you, the need for hours of meditation, memorized prayer, and ceremonial performance falls away. Because you're no longer trying to find God. You're finally hearing God in the silence, in the breath, in the way you hold a stranger's gaze. God arrives the moment you choose stillness over the need to be seen as spiritual. You realize God never required your effort, only your remembrance. So be warned with love. If your spiritual practices are rooted in the fear of not being holy, you have forgotten that you already are. And if your devotion exists only when you are being watched, then you are not devoted to God. You are devoted to perception. And let this be the moment you stop grasping. Let this be the day you arrive. Not polished, not pious, just present. Because God is not coming. God is already speaking through you, to you, and in everything. Ashe, Amen, Selah. Let light bear witness. Let the performance end. Let the real ones rise. And if you've made it this far, the divine thanks you for your remembrance and your presence. If this stirred something in you and you feel called to honor the field, there are many ways to do so. Energetically, through presence, through prayer, through positive thought, or by sharing your light in a message of resonance. You may choose to share this transmission, to subscribe, or to like this post. Anything that honors the nudge you feel from spirit. And if you're led to support through earthly means, may it be done from overflow, never obligation. I have never wanted to charge for what has been divinely bestowed, and I never will. My desire is to remain in service to the divine, and all else shall support that through resonance alone. May no one ever feel paywalled to access divine insight. May all remember in divine timing how to access God within themselves. And may those who receive this in love be met with blessings multiplied, whether or not they are ever able to give in return. Love is always enough. Ashe, Amen, Selah. Let light bear witness. Let love be the seal. Let the real ones rise.